Hey, it's Jamie East here from the Smart 7, and today's episode is brought to you by Pension Bee and their award-winning Pension Confident podcast. Getting your head around pensions might seem overwhelming, but that's where Pension Bee comes in. They're on a mission to build pension confidence. So whether you're just starting on your pension journey, you're nearing retirement, or like me, you're somewhere a little bit in between, then you should have a listen to the Pension Confident podcast. It's an award-winning podcast that digs into topics that really matter with the help of financial experts. So that could be the basics of how pensions, ISAs or mortgages work, and things like how to get started on saving for a happy retirement. And a bit like the Smart 7 does with the news, they break down complex pensions finance into language that we can all understand. You can listen or download the Pension Confident podcast wherever you get your podcast from, or you can watch the episodes on YouTube. And remember, anything discussed on the podcast shouldn't be regarded as financial or legal advice, and when investing, your capital is at risk. On today's Smart 7, Israel accused of genocide in Gaza, Donald Trump lands in the UK, and much more. It's Wednesday, 17th of September, it's Country Music Day, and happy birthday, Kyle Chandler.
The Smart 7. It's news, but not the news.
Prime Minister Keir Starmer was accused of hiding from Parliament on Tuesday as he was missing in action for an emergency debate on the Mandelson scandal called by the Tories. The PM was busy preparing for Donald Trump's second state visit, but it's the worst possible time for him to be appearing with another man at the centre of Epstein allegations. Starmer is in the spotlight because last Wednesday he publicly backed Peter Mandelson as the UK's ambassador to the US before changing his mind on Wednesday evening, having read the leaked emails to Epstein in full. Tory leader Kemi Badenoch was scathing in her criticism of the PM for the rapid succession of scandals that have engulfed his government.
The only plan that they came into office with was a promise they made again and again to the British public that they would restore honesty and integrity to government. That was their defining mission. That was their grand plan, and it is in tatters.
Badenoch and Lib Dem leader Sir Ed Davey have both called for the Prime Minister to apologise to Epstein's victims over Mandelson's appointment. Stephen Flynn from the SNP was cautioned in Parliament after quoting from the emails, but he was furious about the scandal.
The Prime Minister of the United Kingdom appointed a man to that role, knowing that that man had maintained a relationship with Jeffrey Epstein.
A UN Commission of Inquiry has found that Israel has committed genocide in Gaza since October 2023. Navi Pillay, who is the head of the commission, says that the Israeli PM and president, along with former Defence Minister Yoav Gallant, had incited the commission of genocide and that Israeli authorities had then failed to take action against them. The investigators cited specific examples, including the blocking of aid, the scale of the killing, and even the destruction of a fertility clinic. Israel's ambassador to the UN, Daniel Meron, dismissed the report out of hand.
Israel categorically rejects the libelous rant published today by this Commission of Inquiry. It spreads the malicious genocide narrative. The report diverges from the mandate of the Commission, yet again stressing their biased analysis.
Even as the report was published, Israel has launched its ground offensive within Gaza City, with Defence Minister Israel Katz declaring Gaza is burning. Speaking to the BBC's Today Show, one of the commissioners involved in the inquiry, Chris Sidoti, says the denials don't change anything.
This is just the same stuff that they produce all the time. I suspect they do it by ChatGPT these days. And it's a way of avoiding engaging with the substance of the allegations that are made and with the evidence.
Russia launched another wave of attacks against Ukraine on Tuesday, injuring more than a dozen people and killing at least one in the region of Mykolaiv. There were fresh questions for Poland over last week's Russian drone attack on its country, as it emerged that the damage to a house in the Lublin region might have been caused by a Polish missile fired at a drone. President Trump was grumbling about Ukrainian President Zelensky again on Tuesday, saying he will have to get going and make a deal. But speaking to Sky News, Zelensky says Trump has been played by Putin.
He received de-isolation. He got photos with President Trump. And I think this opens the doors for Putin into some other summits and formats, because that's how it is. And I don't think he paid anything for it. But he should pay, because he started the war.
Donald Trump's Air Force One landed back in the UK at Stansted on Tuesday night as he began his second official state visit. It turns out his recent visit to his own Scottish golf club didn't count, apparently. He's being carefully managed when he's here to keep him away from crowds and possible protesters, and with Prime Minister Keir Starmer under pressure over Peter Mandelson and Jeffrey Epstein, it's a delicate exercise. Trump, speaking to the press before he departed the White House, sounded like he'd read a tourist brochure for his trip and was also sounding very relaxed about meeting the King again.
Charles, my friend, and it's the first time this has ever happened where somebody was honoured twice, so it's a great honour. And this one's at Windsor. They've never used Windsor Castle for this before. They used Buckingham Palace. And I don't want to say one's better than the other, but they say Windsor Castle is the ultimate, right?
Still to come on today's Smart 7 in association with Metro, Spurs and Arsenal in Champions League action, and we pay tribute to an icon of cinema. Right after this.
Hey, it's Jamie East here from the Smart 7, and today's episode's brought to you by Pension Bee and their award-winning Pension Confident podcast. Getting your head around pensions might seem overwhelming, but that's where Pension Bee comes in. They're on a mission to build pension confidence. So whether you're just starting on your pension journey, you're nearing retirement, or like me, you're somewhere a little bit in between, then you should have a listen to the Pension Confident podcast. It's an award-winning podcast that digs into topics that really matter with the help of financial experts. So that could be the basics of how pensions, ISAs or mortgages work, and things like how to get started on saving for a happy retirement. And a bit like the Smart 7 does with the news, they break down complex pensions finance into language that we can all understand. You can listen or download the Pension Confident podcast wherever you get your podcast from, or you can watch the episodes on YouTube. And remember, anything discussed on the podcast shouldn't be regarded as financial or legal advice, and when investing, your capital is at risk.
Welcome back.
Tuesday night saw the first of 3 nights of Champions League action as the league format got underway. There were some big European names in action, including Juventus and Real Madrid, along with 2 of the 6 English teams, Arsenal and Spurs. Arsenal were on the road picking up a 2-0 win against Athletic Bilbao, while Spurs hosted Villarreal at home. It was the first ever Champions League match for new Spurs manager Thomas Frank, and Spurs got an early goal, which was enough to secure a 1-0 win. He was very happy with his first proper Champions League experience.
It was definitely the first, minute with the Champions League anthem, and you looked at that was special. I felt that. That was, that is special. Then the whistle go, boom, you're just in game mode, and then you forget about everything. In the end, you're just happy. Oh, it was a Champions League game. Okay, we're very happy, of course.
There's a new movie dropping this weekend that takes a look at the billionaire behind not 1, but 2 dating apps. Swiped tells the story of Whitney Wolf Herd, the founder of Bumble and one of the creators of Tinder. She's pretty much the queen of dating, and she's played in the movie by British actress Lily James. Lily popped up with Seth Meyers, but she had a surprising confession to make for the star of a dating app movie. She says she's never used them.
I haven't, and I feel kind of guilty and a bit of a fake playing the creator of these apps, having never really done it. But I did steal my friend's phone in preparation for this film for a reset.
The death was announced on Tuesday of Hollywood legend Robert Redford. The actor, director and environmental campaigner died at home at his beloved Sundance in Utah at the age of 89. He starred in classic movies including Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, All the President's Men and The Sting. He also won an Oscar as director of Ordinary People and went on to found the Sundance Film Festival. Meryl Streep was one of those paying tribute, saying one of the lions has passed. In an interview back in 1989, Redford revealed that really he'd always wanted to be an artist. Rest in peace, Robert.
I held some fantasy out of my head that I would return to art, and I carried that maybe 5 years into my acting career, and then finally one day just looked at myself in the mirror and I said, who are we kidding? This is what you do. This is what you do well and like it. Give up the idea that you're going to maintain this career in art.
You've been listening to The Smart 7. We'll be back tomorrow at 7 a.m. Hit that follow button and have a great day.
Give us 7 minutes, we'll give you the world. Buying a car in Carvana was so easy. I was able to finance it through them.
Whoa, wait, you mean finance?
Yeah, finance. Got pre-qualified for a Carvana auto loan, entered my terms, and shot from thousands of great car options, all within my budget.
That's cool, but financing through Carvana was so easy.
Financed. Done. And I get to pick up my car from their Carvana vending machine tomorrow.
Financed.
Right, that's what I said.
You can spend time trying to pronounce financing, or you can actually finance and buy your car today on
Carvana.
Financing subject to credit approval. Additional terms and conditions may apply.